Good night.
Good night.
Ian started my story. But as a family member, I have to say certain things about Rosie. Rosie is quite a heckler. You know, she will heckle you to death. But the scripture verse that I thought of for this occasion, and for Rosie in particular, was, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee with a prophet, as a prophet unto the nations. Rosie spent, like Ian just said, 6 months in hospital. That's right. 6 solid months. And there were 7 of us children at the time. Mother and Sally were the only ones who were able to go to the hospital to see her, and Em and Michael and them. And of course, I was going to say that we had good neighbors. Yes. Ina is here tonight, and she would have been one of those that took care of mother's other children. Suzanne would have been the baby, so you could go from there. Pauline and Deborah and Paul didn't exist at the time. And 4:30 this morning when we woke up to pray, Rosie came on the line. She's the official pastor of the group. Right. But sometimes she has to be reprimanded. We suspect that she puts the phone under her pillow or in the fridge. She used to do that in Nassau. And so she doesn't answer. So we'll be calling, and then Pauline somehow would WhatsApp her. But this morning she was really jovial. She said today is the 27th of July. Say, who knows what day it is? So it's the best month and the best date of the year. The 27th of July. And then she went on to say in her own humorous way, a bouncing baby girl was born to Zach and Seda Curry on this date, way back. She didn't say what the date, 65 years ago, 1954 to be exact. But what I'd like to say is Rosie was someone who she liked. Anyway, let me just talk.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah, Rosie, in school, she was like a year, 2 years behind me, only because I skipped a form, and then of course, she graduated in 72 and I left in 71. I'd like to say that Rosie in school, though, was an athlete. She'd tell you now how she ran with some of the best. She likes to talk about Hattie Moxie and Shelley Austin and the Roma Hunt. Those, and they won 1 year.
That's right.
The 4x1 relay.
It's recorded.
It's recorded. But I'll go to church. Rosie was Sunday school teacher, gleaners leader, everything, superintendent, choir member, youth flame member. And of course she also she was also a band leader. And many of you would see Dot Nan in church now. She was one of those persons that Rosie and Sister Bridge went to almost every week. In fact, when Mother died, every Tuesday, when Mother died, she was in Dot's house. They were having Bible study or something. And Pastor Gailey was the one who came to you to say, your mother just died. and it was such a shock, you know. I'll tell you another thing about Rosie. She was always after the things of God. You know, Mother didn't run a slack ship at all. But somehow she managed to go with Edna and Violet Delancey. Edna Missick, and Violet Delancey, and joined the Girls' Brigades in Bethel Church, Pastor Timmy. Well, that was something when she was just missing in action. But that's the kind of person Rosie was, very adventurous and willing to do anything to I suppose, have her own way. Let me tell you about her now. We are the closest in age, okay? It's just a year between us. And I always caught trouble for Rosie. Mainly because she was sickly, so mother would never beat her. And somehow she always gave a very good story. I would be the one, mother said, oh yeah, you, come. But Rosie was able to get out of trouble all the time. And I think it has to do with her demeanor. You know, some of us are just bold and would say exactly what it is. But Rosie would give that shy, innocent look, and you'd think she didn't do anything. Who you think she's like? Oh dear. Must be Aaliyah. Must be Aaliyah. But I'll tell you the one thing, when she spent that 6 months in hospital, it was a Christmas. That must have been the Christmas of 1960. And the Curry clan always had, and Timmy could vouch for this, and Laverne, we would put blocks outside and put sticks in them and bottles on the top. And we had our microphones and we would be singing, having a good time. Anyway, the Christmas of 1960, Rosie was in hospital. And I don't know, it was hospital calling. How many of you over 60 can remember hospital calling? So Rosie starred on hospital calling. It was Christmas and they were asking them, you know, to sing a song.
It's a little girl.
A little girl. Rosie, all the Christian songs, been to all the Bible schools. Miss Brennan Bible School, Mr. Zonical, Redmond. Prophecy did not Bible school in that day. And Rosie sang, you better watch out. All across the line. It was a real embarrassment too. The Curry family woke with prayers every morning. Whisper a prayer in the morning. She forgot all of that. She went straight to Santa Claus is coming to town. I tell you. But we were in the yard singing at the time. But when Rosie came on there, we all stopped and we listened to her singing. Rosie was bold. I couldn't see her doing that on hospital calling. And the other, all our wearing a manger and them you could have sang. Joy to the world. But the other point is, Rosie, Deborah, you wouldn't remember that. I remember when Rosie was in London studying and me and Sonia went. Scotland, what I said? Oh, yes, Scotland. And Rosie had a roommate. She didn't have a roommate and it was only a cot, a single bed in the room. And I'm still trying to remember, Sonia, where you and I slept. I was in the bed. I wasn't on the floor. But Rosie somehow worked it out that one of the Chinese girls was out for a while and then she was able to get us going. I enjoyed that trip to Scotland. That was the first time. And we left on a bus to go back. We didn't realize in those days you had to spend a certain amount of time. So we took the train or bus and went to London with hopes of going home, only to discover we were turned back. So we had to take the train back to Rosie. Rosie she didn't know much about the traveling arrangements. So she just accepted us back in our place. We must have spent 2 weeks there. It could have been 2 weeks. Rosie was always a favorite. I thought Mother, I think Mother protected her because of her sickness. But do you know, Rosie told me this morning, Rosie, remember I was asking all the questions? She said the doctors didn't know what was wrong with her. They were just experimenting. And for 6 months, they kept her in there. They cut her in the chest somewhere. They said she had an abscess on the lungs, was it? And it wasn't until she entered nursing at the age of 19 that she discovered she was a sickle cell patient. Trait. And that might have been what was causing all the problems. So really they were experimenting with her. But what she also said to me this morning was that she wasn't on the children's ward. She was on the adult ward. And I thought that's strange. But Rosie got the chance to move around in the hospital as a nursing aide. And I think that was where she really acquired. At 6 years old, they made her a cap. She had a nursing cap. And she followed the nurses around all about. To the lab, to the morgue, to wherever it was. She was determined, and of course, I wanted to be a nurse too, but that didn't work for me. But it certainly worked for Roselyn, and she loved it to the end. Listen, when you talk about nursing and Roselyn, she and I were invited to sing in Spanish Wells this, February. And didn't we have a good time? It was, and we were so good at the first funeral that someone else was having a funeral, and who it was? The next, the mother, somebody. And they asked us to sing at the second funeral, but that's not the part I want to talk about. The entire Spanish Wells came to see Rosie at Sherry's house. You hear me? I got so tired I went to bed and went to sleep because I was really sleepy. But I want to talk about when we went to the food store. What food fair it was? Food fair. The big food store in Spanish Wells. And when the whole shop saw Rosie coming, they all just came out. They used their telephones, come say, Nurse Curry's here, Nurse Curry's here. And Rosie spent more than an hour entertaining these people in the food store, questions and answers and everything else. But it was really something to see how much Spanish Wells appreciated her. As Sherry is saying, she is here tonight, and her husband is just not here because of some extenuating circumstances. But Sherry, I really think you all showed the love for Rosie at that time. The entire island somehow assembled, and it showed her dedication. Rosie had to really run from Spanish Wells, you know. She would have worked herself to death. The people just came and came and came. And sometimes, Sherry said they appointed 3 nurses after her, and they still didn't do as much work as Rosie did. Rosie really worked herself to pieces in Spanish Wells. And they appreciated it. They appreciated it, and they showed her lots of love and concern, and also financial returns. That was where she made her biggest jump in life. I could tell you, she did very well. They gave her a car when she was leaving, and before she left, her house was finished, paid for. So Spanish Wells was really good to her. I'm going to tell you a joke before I sit down, as Suzanne and Rosie get the mics and come. When she was in Black Point, I never went to Black Point. Black Point, you had to jump over a boat and thing. I couldn't deal with that. Sally, you went there. It was a cup, you called it the cup? Uh-huh. I never went to Black Point. But one of those same times this nephew of hers was talking about, when he visited her one summer, Rosie said she just heard outside. There was a teacher that lived next door, Woodside, some Woodside. And Ian, she only heard, your beast? Your beast take that. When they went outside, more than 3 dozen crabs had been killed by Ian. So I asked Rosie, I said, Rosie, why y'all didn't break them and store them and cook them? Rosie said, no, they were splattered. Ian was only a little boy, and I don't know how he did all those crabs today. And if Rosie and those had looked out before he finished, it would have been good, but Ian did that in Black Point. I'm sure that teacher remembers him. And the Curry family has always been known for the love the displayed. If you want to see us gather quick, let something happen to one of us, and they will assemble in no time. I could remember the one time I was in hospital, and listen, since she was 6, she ain't been back in the hospital no time. So I am sure that she was healed. Even though they talk about the sickle cell trait, you ain't never had no crisis. That wasn't in her either. All of that went with the 6 months. And I'd like to say as well that during that, when she came out, Sally was responsible for taking her to the hospital for checkups. How often?
Every 3 months, 6 months, and yearly.
Yeah. Well, she didn't have to take you when it was the year.
Yeah.
She still took you?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a minor.
She was a minor. All right.
So were you.
But Rosie was just that kind of person. I remember visiting her in Spanish Wells all the time. In fact, it was time for, they're telling me we must say now. It was time for, Suzanne, you have the mic?
2.
The one song that we sing that really talks about family is, we are part of the family that's been born again. And this will be the first one that we're going to sing. We didn't rehearse with Rosie today. And Suzanne said, you know, Rosie get the words mixed up. We're part of family that's been born again.
Listen. Joyce is trying to turn this into a full Curry Sisters concert. Alright, do not encourage a Sherry. Alright, but it's wonderful, wonderful. And just as the program said, stroll down memory lane. That's what it was. Thank you so much. Come on, let's cheer for them one more time. Roselyn and the Curry Sisters. Yes. So, it is time now for the cutting of the cake. and Roselyn's response. Can I get Brother Pastor Leroy Lightbourne to take Roselyn all the way over to that cake? Come on, take them right over to the cake, please, sir, so that we can hear her response real quick. Kind of close to that. I'm hoping you will challenge. Two. All right.